Hello guys, and welcome back to another Florida Man YouTube video. I'm Trevor and we are here at Universal Studios to talk about Trevor's favorite thing, Halloween Horror Nights. Now I know you're like, Florida Man, it is literally March. Why are you talking about something that starts in September? And I say, don't judge me. I have news. I have big news, very big news. And we are here to talk about all the juicy rumors. If you guys have been following the Florida Men for some time, when we talk about Horror Nights, one of the big things we talk about is Halloween Horror Nightmares. They are a Twitter account that creates spec maps throughout the year leading up to Horror Nights. Now, spec maps, you know, you can take with a grain of sand, but for some reason, Halloween Horror Nightmares, they got the lucky horseshoe. They have their insider information and they pop off with fairly accurate spec maps. For example, last year they predicted that there was going to be a Chucky house, a Last of Us house, and a Megan themed house. Now, obviously, we did not get a Megan themed house, but we did get a Megan themed horde. So there's reason to believe that some of their predictions have some weight to it. So I wanted to go through this first spec map of 2024 and see what they are predicting. So starting off, they are predicting that there's going to be 10 houses this year, not 11, which is quite all right. You know, we're a little spoiled with the houses. So, you know, people were thinking, oh, they have a tent where Minions was, maybe we'll get an 11th house. So no, we're going to stick with the 10, right? So they are predicting about half of them will be IP houses and the other half will be Universal's own crazy ideas. So last year, Halloween Horror Nightmares used full names for the guesses of the houses. This year, they're using more symbols and pictures, right? So it's kind of hard to guess what they're predicting. However, we can predict based on their prediction what the houses are going to be. Now, like I said, with 5 of these houses, there's a little film icon in the corner of them. So we can predict those are related to films that have been out or are going to be out within this year. Now, the reason why we are here in this specific location is this is the old Ghostbusters show. Now, there is a icon of the Cadillac logo, which we all know Ecto 1 is a Cadillac, and in the past 2 years we've had 2 Ghostbusters movies come out, and it is rumored that Universal bought someone's collector Cadillac, which Universal's very cheap. They don't like to spend money on these Horror Nights houses, only when it counts. So if they're buying a Cadillac, you know they're using it for something good, which tells me that this year's big house is going to be Ghostbusters. We are moving all the way to the back where Revenge of the Mummy queue is. This is typically where the tribute store exits, and they are predicting 2 houses back here, which is pretty kosher. One of a skull cut in half, one side white, one side black, and a lollipop. Now, this skull could mean anything, literally anything. However, the skull looks very familiar. In fact, it looks identical to the same skull that was at the bottom of the comic books they were giving out at last year's tribute store. So I am predicting that this is going to relate back to last year's tribute store, which was completely comic book themed, and it featured the icon Boris Schuster. So we may have a sequel to the Boris Schuster house, or we may have a full-on comic book themed house. Both would be phenomenal, but I am praying it is a comic book themed house because the style in last year's tribute store was phenomenal. Now, next up is that lollipop. Now, the lollipop could mean anything, but if you guys were here 2 years ago, we had the absolutely perfect Major Sweets Scare Zone, which revolved around Major Sweets giving out laced chocolate and candies to kids, making them go crazy. Now, it was such a good scare zone. I would be thrilled if he has his own house. He deserves it. I would love to go through the city because they themed out not just this entire section, but the tribute store to that town and live through that experience, because they also have a really good podcast explaining his backstory. I would really love to see a sequel to that scare zone. We move over to Fast and Furious, where Halloween Horror Nightmares is predicting a unknown IP. So usually in this Fast and Furious era, we have things like Blumhouse and or Sci-Fi. However, Blumhouse did say at the beginning of this year that they will be visiting Halloween Horror Nights sometime this year. Well, obviously we know it's going to be in Halloween. However, I predict over here is going to be a Blumhouse themed house. Blumhouse pops off with a ton of movies, so what it will be, who knows? But I am hoping it's going to be something good. We are back all the way where Fear Factor used to be, because the family-friendly show Nightmare Fuel is coming back. HHN Nightmares is predicting a nice purple show with a flame on it. Now, Nightmare Fuel has been a returning show for the past 3 or some odd years, and they actually just got an award with IAPA, so it's only fitting that Universal brings them back. Now, if you look behind me, you'll see a few boxes of them doing work. Now, Universal hasn't said squat about bringing back a daytime show here, so I predict those boxes aren't for your day guests. Those are for your Nightmare Fuel fans. So they're probably updating the show, bringing in new pyro, new fire, new whatever they bring in. Definitely not costumes, because you know their budget on their costumes is like non-existent for obvious reasons. But alright, we are in the back here getting free hugs from Bugs because Halloween Horror Nightmares is predicting a quiet themed house. Now this one is a mute symbol, but in the top right corner we do have a film reel which indicates to us that they're predicting it's going to be related to a film. Now what this reminds me of is A Quiet Place, which is a movie that came out a few years ago. They came out with a sequel, now they're coming out with a prequel this year, so it's only fitting that they have this amazing alien-themed house thrown in the back here. A Quiet Place is a brilliant concept. In fact, it reminds me a lot of the clickers in Last of Us from last year. It would be so cool to have that concept of trying to be quiet, going through a house, and all of a sudden these monster aliens start attacking you. I'm 110% down for this house. Over by Simpsons and Men in Black, Halloween Horror Nightmares is predicting two houses. One is an unknown house. I'm going to come back to that one. Another is a Minotaur with two spears behind it. Now, the Minotaur could relate back to Greek mythology or a labyrinth. This is going to be a Universal original house, so this could necessarily mean anything. However, I would love to see any Greek inspiration. I think the concept of a maze based on the labyrinth would be awesome because the Minotaur is the guardian of the labyrinth. So I'm 110% down for this one. However, the unknown original house, this one's piquing my interest. For the past handful of years, Universal has been doing a classic monster themed house. Now, if we look around this map real quick, you can see none of this is indicating a Universal classic monster house. I am predicting that this unknown house is going to be a prequel to Dark Universe. Now, you may be asking yourself, Florida Man, how far up your butt did you reach to get this idea? And I said, not very far. All right, think about it this way. Epic Universe is around the corner, right? And they're gonna come out with a Dark Universe section with Universal Classic Monsters, right? Now, Universal has teased a new character coming into the Dark Universe, right? Frankenstein's daughter or granddaughter. How cool would it be to hype up Epic Universe by creating a house themed for Dark Universe? I mean, every year they've been coming out with a Classic Monsters house. It only makes sense to start amping up Epic Universe, you know? I mean, this is gonna be the 24/7 all year long Halloween Horror Nights event over at Epic Universe. So like, just throw it a little bit here for us. Come on, Universal. So that's my prediction. Halloween Horror Nightmares has no idea, but that's what I'm saying. We are over by the new Dreamworks section because Universal's come out with their own teaser for Horror Nights, right? Halloween Horror Nightmares they're lagging behind, but Universal, they've been telling us from the get-go, right? Dreamworks, right? What monster, what Universal scary monster works in dreams? Freddy Cougar. Halloween Horror Nightmares use an image of a moon and the stars for this particular house. The same moon and stars was used in an old Nightmare on Elm Street house here, which is reason to give that this is going to be a Freddy Cougar themed house, which I'm very excited for. I think this will be really cool. Moving over to Central Park, this area has been a graveyard for the past 2 years thanks to good old-fashioned Florida hurricanes, right? So completely decimated the show before this, and for the past season or so, this has been nothing. But as you can see behind me, they are working on the new show that's most likely going to come out this summer, but Halloween Horror Nightmares is also going to predict that there's going to be some sort of movie-related show in this area. Whether it is here or across the street at Horror Makeup Show, it's kind of vague on the location. However, I'm thinking that they're going to have a water show here. This will be great. It'll be a great people eater, and it's so nice and dynamic when you're walking through the park. You can see this water show from this side over by San Francisco. I really think this is not only going to be a great show, but a phenomenal addition to Horror Nights. We need more people eaters. If not, people are going to be in line for houses, and it's going to be a nightmare, and it's going to be nightmare fuel. It's going to give people Halloween Horror Nightmares. So yeah, next speculation. We are over by Blood Moon Rising, and Universal Halloween Horror Nightmares is predicting a South American themed house, which I think is bold. That's like a lot to do. I mean, you have Peru, Chile, Mexico, it looks like they're including in there. So I think it's gonna be a really long house. I would say it'd probably take a couple days to get through. You know, if you start at the top and work your way down, you know, it's quite extensive. In all seriousness, this is probably gonna have to relate to South American culture or I am predicting Creature of the Black Lagoon. The poor little creature has yet to get a full dedicated house. He was in the Universal house in 2019, but dude needs his own house. And you know who they need to bring in for this one? Rob Zombie, because Rob Zombie is the biggest Creature of the Black Lagoon fan. So I think this would be great to have in this section of the park. Now the last house that we are going to talk about is a vampire skull icon. Now this could mean anything, and of course at that top right we do have that film roll, which would indicate to us that this could be a film or TV show. Now this could relate to the Blumhouse movie that's going to come out this year that's going to feature a vampire ballerina, right? However, there's so many other vampire movies that have come out the past few years that I think could be a contender, including Voyage of the Last Demeter, which was a phenomenal movie. I think that would work very well for a Horror Nights house. But there's another series that Universal has done before from the same creator that I think would fit perfectly in this section. Now, a few years ago they did do the Hill House house. I think that they would kill a Midnight Mass themed house. This TV show was phenomenal. It was quite scary. That last few episodes were phenomenal. I think a Midnight Mass house where you're going through the village at night where everyone's turning into vampires would be phenomenal, and especially to have that scene where you go through the church would be great. It would be very reminiscent of Blood Moon Rising. I think this would be a beautiful themed house, but again, it is a vampire, so it could mean necessarily any vampire-based movie. But we do know it will be a movie. So that is all the predictions for this year's Halloween Horror Nights, and as you can see, it's looking like it's going to be a really good year. Now, of course, this is not going to indicate the exact houses that are going to come out in 2024. I'm sure we'll see a few other spec maps throughout the year and a few other house announcements. I mean, it is March. This is around the time that we're going to see the first house announcement. So please keep an eye on the Florida Man because we will be covering it all. In any event, we will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Of the old Ghostbusters theater show. It's not track of power. The very old Ghostbusters show is because they Universal's come out, right? Now stay with me here. Halloween Heart. So I predict, and Nightmare Fuels predict that Nightmare bloopers are going to be really big today. Actually, you know what? Scrap that, guys. I think I know what they're using with that car that they just bought. So no Ghostbusters house, unfortunately. They just using Marilyn Monroe or Marilyn Manson or Betty Boop or one of those guys to drive it.